Professor Lancaster. I hope you enjoyed that intro. Hello, I'm Jerry Casey, and first of all, I'd like to thank the university and the teachers for teaching me, and I feel humbled and honored to have gone through this class, and I'm very, very grateful. So, um, reflect on your leadership ability when you began the Organizational Leadership Applied Major coursework. Focus specifically on what you knew or thought you knew about who you were as a leader. What areas of learning occurred during or as a result of the content in the applied major courses. So, what I thought about myself as a leader when I began this course is, well, evidently you can tell from the video I'm an older person, so I've been in a leadership role for quite a few years. I am a public works inspector for a municipality outside of Dallas, and I've been with them for 25 years, so I've had to be over a certain amount of teams because my other role is project manager, and there's quite a few people that work under me, not directly but indirectly. So what I was wanting to gain from this class is to be able to move into management at the municipality that I'm working for. So I would have people directly under me. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'll work my way through the courses and give my description. And so back to the first question, I thought I was an okay leader. Being able to read it and put it into context and then work through the assignments, I totally believe it's made me a better leader. And one preface that I would like to give right up front is that if you see me pause and think and pause for a moment, it's because I actually like to think about what I say before I say it. So I'll get right into it. Data decision making. So throughout the course, it was throughout this part of the course, gathering data and then formulating it into a decision was a very eye-opening experience. I remember right from the get-go, one of the assignments, I compiled data and then we formulated it into some of the decisions that we would make. So I really enjoyed that class, and it came back into effect at the end of, near the end of my capstone, perhaps in capstone 1. So I honestly believe that I will use some of this moving forward. As most people, a lot of this course is going to have to resonate in my brain and come back out at a later time as I reflect on it and grow as a leader. So behavior, ethics, and leadership. That was a really good course for me. Over the years, I've been through situations where there has been ethnical type, racism type situations involved, and it's not a very good place to be. Not on my part, but through some of the workers around me. So I believe that that was a really good class, and I learned quite a few things working my way through it. And I definitely will bring some of those skills into play moving into the future. So, leadership theory. This is a two-part term, and it focuses on leaderships within principles and practices of management of organizations. So, it was interesting going back and studying and reading some of the forerunners that thought up these theories and then put them down in writing and began teaching them. Again, this is something that I'll have to marinate on and reflect upon, and probably reference back on in my journey forward if I need to revisit some of this and pull it back up and use it in my journey moving forward. Leading change. So this was one of the best classes, I believe, because throughout my career I have seen changes as far as, I've been with my job for 25 years. So the team that I started out with was probably about 15 people, and I would say that after 25 years, nobody from the team that I started out with are still working with me because of either termination, which that was very rare, retirement, which is really very common, and then or illnesses or death. So there's been a lot of change throughout my career, and in fact my boss recently retired, and I knew he was going to retire coming into this class. Actually, I knew a couple years ago. So at one point in time we hired new people, and I wanted to kind of implement change even though I was not in a supervisory role over the people that work for the city that I work for. So I put myself in a vicarious situation by taking that on and not really knowing how to do it properly, and quite frankly not being authorized. So doing that probably made the new people coming in look at me as if though I was trying to be a pseudo boss. So the reason I'm going into depth about this is because throughout this organizational leadership course, one of the things that resonated the most, and one of the things that kind of pinged, and it was like an OIC moment, was the leading change, and some of the things that I had learned about making management change, and some of my assignments that I wrote were directly based on that situation that I had recently went through, and how that could have been handled better and could be handled better moving forward if in fact I am hired for that role there as a leader in our office. So I actually strategically worked through how I would put this change into effect, what needed to be changed, who were the major players, what role, what organization, how would it look, what was the plan. So I was able to basically implement a plan on paper, think it out, put it on paper, and work through what I would do if in fact after I earn my degree, and if in fact I am hired for that position, how I would make changes. So me as a leader, I've always wanted to be humble and be a likable leader. So being an inspector for a city, you have to tell people to redo stuff. You have to be the bad guy, kind of like a cop, so to speak. So being an inspector is a difficult job because you have to maintain an imaginary line between the relationship you have with contractors, their employees, superintendents, project managers, because at any given point you might have to tell them that they're doing something wrong and redo it. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because the relationship I have with my co-workers can be quite different than that, because they're not contractors, so you just have to figure out the differences between relationships like that. I say you, I do, or people in my position. So leading change was probably one of the best classes for me. Right now, like I said, I'll probably have OIC moments going through my life moving forward, reflecting back on these different classes, and at different given times, perhaps leadership theory or one of the previous classes may implement itself back into my life. So that's kind of how it is when you're learning and going through life. Things that you think you don't need are tucked away, and then remarkably they pop up and you use them. If they're stored on the back burner, so to speak. So moving on, capstone. So reflecting back on the capstone, one of my last professors on capstone 1 was Professor Vaughn, Dr. Vaughn, and I really enjoyed. I had him in 2 classes, and he made me continue to go back and fix up and clean up my assignment, and I really was grateful for that, because it made me focus and learn. So and then moving into capstone 2, the same can be said with my current professor. She just didn't accept my first work and made me go back and clean it up, and really work hard to earn the grade that I needed moving forward. So I'll be the first to realize that I'm never going to be a Pulitzer Prize winner in writing and a English scholar or anything like that, but given the fact where I came from and where I'm at now, I believe that I've accomplished a lot as far as being able to write and being halfway decent. So I'm not going to be too hard on myself about that. So describe yourself as a leader now. I think that I'm beginning the journey to begin changing and becoming a better leader, because now I have these tools in my tool belt that I can reflect back on, and not just at A&M, all the way back, into my first degree in construction management, and then my second degree in arts, and then this degree in organizational leadership. So all of this has been tools, and it's really the main thing that I've learned from this whole experience is I've learned various ways to go out and research and learn what I need to know. For example, if in 5 years from now I'm leading a group of 15 people and they say, hey boss, how does this work and how does that work? Now I have the tools in my tool belt to systematically go back, research what I need to learn or what I need to know, and then I have the ability to present it as well. So I feel more well-rounded. So moving on to the last question here. Where do you go from here? What do you need to do to continue your leadership journey? So I think to answer that question, I personally want to continue to grow and learn every day, and to continue my leadership journey. Some regards, we must all kind of be a sponge and just gather knowledge and information. So a few things that I would like to say ending this video is, I believe if you have a servant heart and you're here to be of service to the people you work for and your fellow man, a servant heart, be humble, and the thing that I've said all the way through this whole experience is treat other people like you would like to be treated. If you can remember 2 or 3 of those things, servant heart, humility, hard work, treat other people like you'd like to be treated, I think you can't go wrong. But anyway, thank you for this class, and happy holidays, and have a Merry Christmas. Thank you.